Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's been generating a lot of buzz in enterprise tech circles: Agentic AI in enterprise workflows. Sam, we've heard a lot of hype around AI agents over the past couple of years. What's changed that's making this suddenly a serious production conversation for enterprises?
Great question, Alex. The shift is real and measurable. We're past the chatbot era, that's the key thing. McKinsey's data shows 74% of enterprises are actively prioritizing AI spending, but here's what's interesting. They're moving away from consumer-facing chatbots toward autonomous systems that actually execute workflows. That's a fundamental difference.
So when you say autonomous, what does that actually mean in practice? Because I think a lot of people still conflate AI agents with customer service chatbots.
That's the critical distinction. A chatbot answers your question. An agent does something about it. Imagine a customer calls about an order delay. A chatbot would tell you when it ships. An agentic AI would access your inventory, talk to logistics partners, identify root causes, coordinate expedited shipping, and generate a compensation offer, all without someone in between orchestrating every step.
That's a completely different value proposition. So instead of automating individual tasks, you're automating entire workflows and decision chains. What kind of impact are enterprises actually seeing when they deploy these systems?
The numbers are striking. We're talking 35 to 60% reductions in process completion time, 70% less manual intervention, and accuracy rates above 98% in structured workflows. And these aren't hypothetical. Financial services, healthcare, supply chain operations are achieving these right now. By 2026, Gartner expects 40% of enterprise automation projects to use agentic systems instead of traditional RPA or chatbots. We're at 8% today.
That's a 5-fold increase in adoption within 2 years. That's aggressive. But I'm guessing there's complexity here, both technical and regulatory. What are enterprises dealing with on the compliance side?
The EU AI Act changed the game completely. It's not just about building agents anymore. You need governance embedded from day one. If you bolt compliance on at the end, you're rebuilding. Smart organizations are taking what we call a governance-first approach, where compliance and auditing are part of the architecture, not an afterthought.
That sounds like a significant mindset shift for development teams. Let's talk technical frameworks for a second. What are enterprises actually building with? Are there standards emerging?
There's a solid toolkit available now. You've got LangChain for flexible Python-based orchestration, Auto-GPT-style frameworks if you want autonomous planning, and newer protocols like MCP, the Model Context Protocol, that standardize how agents communicate with tools. Crew AI is doing interesting work with multi-agent systems, where agents have specific roles and collaborate. But honestly, many mature enterprises are building custom solutions because off-the-shelf frameworks don't handle governance requirements.
Custom solutions sound expensive and time-intensive. What's driving that investment versus using existing frameworks?
Regulated industries, finance, healthcare, insurance, they can't compromise on audit trails, explainability, and data governance. A standard framework gets you 80% of the way there, but that last 20% is where compliance lives. You need embedded governance, not governance as a plugin.
So there's a spectrum. Let me ask something practical. If a company is starting this journey today, what should they be thinking about first?
Start with a clear process target. Don't try to agentify everything. Pick a workflow with high repetition, clear inputs, and measurable outcomes. A supply chain order fulfillment process, a claims processing workflow, customer onboarding. Measure the baseline. How long does it take? How many handoffs? What's the error rate?
Baseline measurement. That makes sense. You need to prove ROI. What comes next?
Then think about your data architecture. Agentic AI doesn't work on LLM training data alone. It needs real-time access to enterprise systems. That's where RAG systems come in. Retrieval-augmented generation grounds your agents in actual customer data, inventory, financial records. That's what makes them reliable in production.
So the agent is smart, but the real power comes from connecting it to your actual enterprise data?
Exactly. And increasingly, enterprises are layering in multimodal capabilities, agents that can process documents, images, structured data. A healthcare agent might review a patient's medical imaging, lab results, and clinical notes simultaneously to recommend treatment workflows.
That's a significant step beyond text-based automation. I'm curious, are there industries moving faster than others?
Financial services and healthcare are leading. They have high-value workflows, strong compliance infrastructure already in place, and ROI is measurable, saving days on loan approvals or accelerating patient triage. Supply chain is catching up fast. Customer operations and HR are slower adoption, partly because they involve more subjective decision-making.
Interesting. So where are the pitfalls? What mistakes do you see enterprises making when they start this journey?
3 big ones. First, they treat agents like upgrades to chatbots. Same mindset, different tool. That fails. Second, they ignore data quality. If your agent is pulling from systems with bad data, it amplifies the problems. Third, and this is the compliance one, they don't involve governance teams early. By the time legal and compliance weigh in, you've built something that needs rebuilding.
Those are expensive lessons. On the governance angle, what specifically should enterprises be building into their agent architecture from the start?
Audit trails that capture every decision the agent made and why. Explainability layers so you can show regulators how conclusions were reached. Data lineage, tracking where information came from. And override capabilities. Humans need to be able to intervene if something looks wrong. These aren't add-ons. They're core architectural requirements.
So autonomy doesn't mean unsupervised. It means humans maintain visibility and control points.
Precisely. True enterprise agentic AI is human in the loop, not human out of the loop. The agent handles orchestration and execution, but decisions are transparent, reversible, and auditable.
Let's zoom out for a moment. What does the competitive landscape look like for companies that don't move on this? We're talking 2026.
If you're in a regulated industry and you're not deploying agentic workflows by 2026, you're leaving 35 to 60% process efficiency on the table. Your competitors are handling customer requests faster, with fewer errors and lower cost. That's existential competitive pressure.
So this isn't optional anymore, it's table stakes.
Absolutely. And the earlier you start, the more you learn. The companies winning right now are the ones who started experimenting in 2023 and 2024. They've worked through the governance issues, understood their data quality challenges, and have operational playbooks. Late movers will be compressed into adoption cycles.
What's one thing you'd tell a CTO or VP of engineering who's evaluating agentic AI right now?
Pick your first workflow strategically. Don't chase the sexiest use case. Chase the highest ROI with the lowest execution risk. Get a win on the board, measure it relentlessly, and use it to fund the next phase. And bring governance and compliance into the room from day one. This isn't IT alone. It's a cross-functional commitment.
Clear, practical advice. Sam, thanks for walking through this. For our listeners who want to dive deeper into frameworks, compliance strategies, and real-world implementation patterns, the full article is on etherlink.ai. We've covered a lot of ground today, but there's much more detail on the technical architectures, case studies, and governance playbooks for EU AI Act compliance. Thanks for listening to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex. Sam, great conversation as always.
Thanks, Alex. And if you're starting your agentic AI journey, don't hesitate to reach out. This is complex, but it's absolutely solvable, and the upside is tremendous.